Good evening and welcome once again to Direct Line. I'm your host, Terrence Mikas. Well, it's about a month before Election Day, and people all across the nation and in the Hudson Valley are beginning to take a closer look at candidates and those candidates' positions. So tonight, Direct Line will begin a month-long service to our viewers, weekly conducting debates between candidates running for U.S. Congress, New York State Senate, and New York State Assembly. Tonight we'll start the series as we bring you a battle for New York's 41st District Senate seat. Some say it's a David and Goliath battle. Others say it's a battle over new ideas, over stale old policies. We'll be your direct line into that race as longtime Republican State Senator Steve Saland, who's seeking a 6th term in the Senate, debates the issues with Beacon lawyer and Democratic candidate Gene Flagello, who's seeking to replace him. They'll go back and forth on the issues important to you now. Thank you both for being here. Gene, you know who you're up against. You know what people are saying. You can't beat them. When you hear that kind of thing, what do you say, and what are the issues that made you get into the race?
The most important issue to me is the issue of health care reform. About 5 years ago, I had cancer, and one of the most important things to me is to make sure that nobody ever has to go through what I went through at the time.
What'd you go through?
I remember getting the diagnosis, and I remember shortly after the diagnosis being faced with 2 different types of treatment and battling my HMO for 3 weeks to get the treatment that I needed in order to be here today.
Do you feel that Senator Saland has been lax on that issue?
I believe that he has, yes.
And what has he done that?
I believe that the HMOs today are basically ruling medical decisions. They're making medical decisions. It's very, very difficult for people to get through to get health care approved that they need. What
has Senator Saland done that has not supported your positions on that?
There was a bill that was put forward to allow an ombudsman, a health care advocate, to teach people what their rights are, to help them through the appeal process. And I believe that that was stuck in committee, and that Senator Saland did not vote in favor of a motion to discharge, which would have gotten it onto the Senate floor.
Why'd you do that if that's the truth?
Well, let's start off at the top. I certainly believe that health care reform is critical. I was one of those who supported the Health Care Reform Act, HCRA 2000, effective January 1 of this coming year. There will be a Family Health Plus program, which will mirror the Child Health Plus program. New York was one of the leaders in that area. I helped negotiate Child Health Plus as the chairman of the Senate Children and Families Committee, which basically provides health care to children who aren't covered by Medicaid.
She's saying you weren't as strong on the issues that you supported.
Well, this is a campaign, and that's what campaigns are about, trying to create issues at times where none exist. The motions to discharge are efforts on the part of the minority to bypass the regular system, the committee system. Motions to discharge are purely procedural motions, and they're routinely defeated on party line votes. I'm not quite sure one has ever succeeded in either house, certainly not within my history or my memory. But
what would you do differently, though?
What I would do differently is Senator Saland, I believe, sits on the State Insurance Committee. He's perfectly poised to sponsor legislation that would take care of the HMO problem.
Why do you think he doesn't do it? What is your opinion? And I know it's subjective, but what is your opinion? Why is he not doing it?
I don't know. I don't know why he's not doing it. I know that I would. I would do it from a purely personal perspective, as well as from all the people I've met since my illness who have been in similar positions.
What we've done, among other things, we were among the first to require external reviews by way of legislation we enacted either 2 years ago, external reviews of HMOs. I've joined in sponsoring legislation which would permit HMOs to be subject to lawsuit, to be brought into court where, in fact, they did not respond appropriately to permit people who were HMO subscribers to have health care. That in itself would be a major innovation. I mean, if you want to talk about sponsoring legislation, certainly that's probably one of the major pieces that most advocates for health care reform would want. and I happen to be a sponsor of it. But keep in mind, we're going over very quickly.
We need
the
to go
enormous,
we have a short time.
Child Health Plus is an enormous accomplishment. The feds have really basically, in large part, modeled what they've proposed to do on our system. Family Health Plus will add about 1 million New Yorkers to the insurance rolls, provide insurance for about 1 million more New Yorkers once it's up and fully running. And there's a whole host of things we did with HICRA, including letting businesses of less than 50 people, in effect, get state subsidies in order to provide insurance for their employees.
But some of the rap on the Republicans in general, and you specifically, and I'm sure you'll take issue with this, is that, yes, you can point to these issues, but that you're just insensitive to, let's say, some of the women's needs and women's issues, and that's what I think you were implying, that, yes, you want to support legislation, but you don't want it to go, too far. And also, Ms. Flagello says that people should have access to abortion rights, reproductive rights, regardless of income. She says you don't support that.
Well, I certainly believe in a woman's right to choose. I would certainly support the finding and holding in Roe v. Wade. I would not do anything to see the right of abortion outlawed. I do, however, think that, like any other right, subject to reasonable regulation. I include within that reasonable regulation the right to parental notification. I do not believe that government should either promote or preclude abortion, and I view the expenditure of dollars for funding of abortion to be the promotion of abortion.
Now, when people are talking about this issue, and I'll let you get in here, a lot of people say, it's a moderate position to say you support Roe v. Wade to some degree, but that why shouldn't parents be allowed to be involved in the choice? Why should someone who is, for religious reasons or other reasons, against abortion have to pay for abortions of poor people or not poor people?
Because you're creating two classes of people. There is a right to an abortion. It's a right. The Supreme Court in Roe versus Wade decided when life starts and when you can have an abortion.
So people should throw out their religious beliefs for that?
I'm not saying they should throw out their religious beliefs, but I am saying that if a woman is poor, if a woman receives Medicaid, and Senator Saland sitting here talking about insurance, okay, that's the issue here. Medicaid becomes some people's insurance, and the state pays for it. Why should somebody who's poor not be able to get an abortion?
When you talk about abortion, it goes all the way down to the fight they're having now about what is called the partial birth abortion, or what other people call the late-term abortion. People know, the Washington Post ran an ad about it. The baby's out of the womb, and you know the procedure. They pierce the back of the neck with a device and then suck the brain out. We've heard the debate. If bill comes to legislation in the Senate, would you support a bill banning that procedure, or would you support it?
I would, in the event of the health of a mother, I would have to support that, but barring the health of the mother being at stake, I would not be in favor of that, nor would you need that procedure
Now,
for people to get abortions earlier.
The reason I want you to define health of the mother, and I want you to answer this, is because the problem that got held up in the federal government, that health of the mother defined by the Democrats at the time was even if they had emotional stress. So health covered so many things that it was kind of like you could say anything's health. Do you narrow that a little bit?
I would narrow it down to, I would not include emotional distress as part of the health of the mother.
How about you, Steve? What do you think about that? Should partial birth abortion be banned?
I voted to ban partial birth abortion. It certainly seems to be an excruciatingly horrendous procedure. It's not a partisan issue. It's an issue which has seen many prominent Democrats, I believe, including Senator Moynihan, if I'm not mistaken, vote in support on the federal level of it. And I just think it's really takes this out to the fringes. Will
you be able, as a minority member, Gene, in the Senate, because we don't know that, obviously it could switch. Most pundits are saying the Assembly's going to stay Democrat, the New York State Senate's going to stay Republican. We don't know that, but it looks that way. As a minority member, would you be able to fight in terms of education? I know some of the position is that you feel that the Republicans have consistently voted, to raise the tuition of the New York State schools, yes, and to shrink TAP. I know you feel that Senator Saland has been part of that group that's tried to do that.
Yes.
What's your position on that?
I believe that a college education today is extraordinarily expensive, and that we need to keep our state schools affordable, because that, in many cases, becomes the only avenue that's available to middle America. And part of that battle is to increase TAP and to lower the state tuition. I believe the state tuition now at a state university is around $9,900.
How can you, keep lowering tuition and keep increasing TAP? Where do you get the money? Who pays for it?
Part of that is an issue of administration of the money that we have. I don't necessarily believe that you have to tax people tremendously and in order to pay for these programs. I believe that you have to sit down and look at the resource that you have and not have academicians who are running the state university system.
Senator Saland, the criticism of a lot of the Republicans, and I don't want to blanket all of them, but the criticism of a lot of them is that, they say, well, they're really for education, and they try to sneak a bill in, I'm using the term sneak, a bill in that will cut, that will add the tuition and cut TAP, and then when it becomes a big issue, they back down. What's your position on that?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, you raised a bit earlier questions of supposedly my insensitivity on women's issues. Let me just come back and visit that in a minute. I think it's safe to say that nobody was more instrumental in changing New York's domestic violence laws than was I in my capacity of the Senate Children and Families Committee chair. The reform of that was extraordinarily encompassing and extraordinarily effective. In that same capacity, I'm the one who's in charge of the negotiations on issues of daycare. I'm the one who was responsible for adding tens of millions of more dollars into daycare in New York State, not only in my capacity as the chair of the Senate Children and Families Committee, but in my capacity as the chair, the Senate chair of the Human Services Budget Conference Subcommittee. On the issue of tuition, TAP has always been, was initiated by, and has always been very strongly supported by the Senate majority Republican conference. Supported. We've increased it. We increased it this year. We've increased it. College tuition in New York State is still one of the best buys you can get. $3,750 a semester. It's really tough to find a better buy elsewhere.
Okay. We got to go to a break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk to Gene Flagello and Steve Saland. Stay with us.
J.C. Penney, a proud sponsor of Direct Line.
When shopping for floor covering, why hassle with Route 9 traffic? Visit Discount Carpet, America's Carpet Gallery, just 1.5 miles east of Route 9 on Route 52. Being a member of America's Carpet Gallery allows them to buy floor covering at the absolute lowest price, assuring you the best value for your money, while still providing the personal attention of a small family-owned store. Choose from carpet, area rugs, laminate flooring, sheet vinyl, and more. Get the price you want and the attention you deserve. Visit Discount Carpet, America's Carpet Gallery, Route 52, Fishkill, near the A&P.
Many of you have passed our shoe and boot store for years and have yet to stop in. Well, here's what we're all about. Our approach, with the help of our computer and fitting experience, concentrates on your feet. Remember, only shoes that have been misfitted can cause corns and calluses, heel and toe pain. The only piece of clothing that can cause pain are your shoes. So remember, if your feet are still killing you, keep in mind that there are no such things as comfortable shoes, only comfortable feet.
I just can't do it.
No. I can't do it. No, me either. Even if it's done quickly, I think they still feel it. Yeah. They still feel it.
Welcome back to Direct Line. We're talking to Gene Flagello, Steve Saland. They're running for Senate in New York's 41st Senate District. They're going back on some issues. You wanted to just finish your point, but do it quickly because I want you to get in here.
On colleges, I mean, two major Senate Republican initiatives. One, just this past year, the College Bound Program, the first state in the union that's going to provide deductibility on state income tax for college tuition. A first of its kind. Similarly, last year or the year before, same Senate majority initiative, which would basically also say that you can set aside money for your child's college education in tax-free investments. An extraordinarily successful program that's monitored by the State Controller's Office.
What do you think about that? The State Controller's, Carl McCall, Democrat. You feel that they're doing enough on education?
No, I don't. I don't. As long as college educations remain out of the reach of middle Americans, which in many cases it does, because some of these initiatives are brand new, but that doesn't take care of my generation, the sandwich generation that's taking care of elderly parents and trying to put kids through school.
Well, college tuitions are up around $25,000-$30,000 for a regular school. I mean, now, can people continue to pay that? Neither one of you start with that, and then we'll jump in.
No, they can't.
I know, but where's the solution? Do we just make free education? I mean, like the state universities in New York and California, the state universities in California where they let you pay. Now they're starting to charge a little bit. Can the state handle that?
I'm not the one who's been a senator for 10 years, so I can't answer that question.
But you do know what you would
I know what
vote
I'm
for.
paying now.
What would you vote for, though, to change it?
In terms of the public system?
Yeah.
I would vote in favor of, I think some of the initiatives that have been made are good ones, but they don't go far enough. I would vote in favor of tuition cuts, to be perfectly honest with you.
And what do you think about that? I know that you don't support that.
Well, it would be a wonderful thing to be able to do in an ideal world, but in a world in which we have to balance competing interests, the $3,750 tuition is not an extraordinarily burdensome tuition. We've dramatically enhanced TAP to the point now where I think you can reach it at levels of up to $80,000 of income, a major increase. You combine that with the deductibility feature up to $10,000 of tuition monies.
So you think it's enough, basically?
The state, if we could do it, it would be great.
Okay.
Realistically, I don't think we're going to be able to do it. The state tuition, I've had children in public colleges and I've had children in private colleges. And I have to tell you, speaking as a parent who's footed the bill on both, there is an extraordinarily and dramatic difference between the private and the public.
Can I just say one more thing on the educational issue? This $10,000 deductibility it's not a dollar for dollar reduction, so that people understand that. It's a deduction off their taxes.
Like any other deduction.
Okay.
Let me just talk about the environment. I know that I've grown up in this area. You know it's a pet peeve of mine. If anybody's watched the show, I feel like, yes, you need development, but yes, you also have to have the quality of life. In the Hudson Valley, especially in the 41st Senate District, it is being, my words now, decimated. The building is going up and up and up and up. There's no place practically to have any peace of mind or quality of land. Senator Saland, a lot of the Republicans are pushing this. A lot of builders that support your campaign are pushing this. People that you know, friends and neighbors. I mean, where do you stand on that? You feel it's just fine, it's their land, let them build, the heck with the area? Or do you feel like at some point you got to say, you know what, we got to stop it and get some sort of plan?
I think you're confusing roles of various levels of government, Terrence. I know we've discussed this before. Certainly our local authorities should be operating off a master plan and should basically be...
But you're a big guy, and they look to you. They look, if you came, Senator, if you came down strong and said, look...
I'm not the Lord of the Manor, Terrence. I'm not a feudal lord. I'm not the king. Oh, okay, fine.
You're not the king.
I do not...
They respect you greatly. And if you came and said, this has got to stop, they would listen to you at least. It would take a stand.
I do not involve myself in local issues because that effectively requires me to become involved in each and every local issue or selectively pick and choose those local issues.
Aren't there any that just matter to you? You live here. You grew up here.
I've grown up here. I've been educated here. They all matter to me, but I rely upon our system of government, which says that there are local governments and county governments between a county planning board and a local planning board, your town board, that are responsible for those decisions.
Are you fine basically to just say, if it just
I would only hope that
Westchester, then that's okay?
I would only hope that they plan appropriately. I can't dictate to them how to plan. I would not want to become another Long Island. I would not want to become another Westchester. Well, then certainly it's incumbent upon people to look at the town boards and the county officials that represent them and demand more.
I think you're
my job, Terrence, is to deal on broader issues.
I understand that.
I created the Hudson Valley Greenway. I've dealt with a host of environmental
I know you have,
issues.
but I still think you have a lot of clout. You've been in office for a long time, very respected. Go ahead.
I agree with what you're saying for change, because the reality is that Senator for a change right now.
Oh, okay, right here. You know.
Okay, Senator Saland has been in office for 10 years, and before that he was in the Assembly. He's a public figure. I believe that public figures should sometimes stand behind issues, and one of the most important issues that we have today is the environment. We do not have planned growth in this county. We do not have planned growth in Columbia County. We could promote legislation which would assist localities in doing comprehensive planning and preserving our green spaces and our open spaces.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk more with Senator Steve Saland, Gene Flagello, running against him in the 41st Senate District. Back.
Experience the difference. Poughkeepsie Chevrolet Oldsmobile Cadillac has the deal for you. Act now, no money down. A stylish Chevrolet Malibu, just $239. The sleek Oldsmobile Intrigue, only $289. The Chevy Blazer, king of SUVs, right now $309. And the jewel of the road, Cadillac Catera, only $399. Choose from over 400 vehicles in stock. Poughkeepsie Chevrolet Oldsmobile Cadillac, Route 9 across from McGowan.
Hi, I'm Sandy Williams at Williams Lumber and Home Centers, and we know what the serious homeowner is looking for. We're ready to make your home energy efficient. Our warehouses are well stocked with a full line of ACE fiberglass insulation. Our fleet is designed to make most deliveries within 24 hours, and our dispatcher Al Atman is here to make sure all your deliveries are there on time. At Williams Lumber, where we have built our home centers on service, you will find that 52 years in business does make a difference. Right? Right. Williams Lumber. Visit us in one of our convenient locations.
Suzuki saves you work, saves your skin, and now your money. Because now during Quad Fair, when you pick up a selected Suzuki Quad Runner ATV like the automatic Quadmaster 500, you'll get a super winch for just $49.99. Plus great financing like 0 down and 9.95 APR. But hurry in. Suzuki can save a lot of things, but not this deal.
Reel in a great ATV deal at one of these participating Suzuki dealers.
Welcome back to Direct Line. We're talking to Gene Flagello and Steve Saland. They're running in the 41st Senate District in this year's race. Gene, why are you running against him? Not that you shouldn't, you have some good issues, but people are saying he gets 70% of the vote. Where's the area that you can say to people, you know what, he's not doing his job?
The area that we've discussed today, the issue of the HMOs, the environmental issues, I don't think Mr. Saland is as strong on it as he can be or as he should be. And these are important issues to me.
What about the fact that, you know, he's done so many things, and I think people on both sides of the aisle will agree in terms of, you know, protecting children, in terms of child abuse, in terms of those kinds of things. Do you feel that he hasn't gone far enough?
He's gone far. He has not gone far enough, exactly.
Pretty strong laws he's got, and no one else was able to do it.
No, but there's more to being a state senator than just putting your name on a bill and passing a law. And one of the things that we were just talking about before in terms of putting the weight of your office behind an issue, that's something that I would offer.
Well, in terms of protecting the children, he certainly put his weight behind that.
Yes,
I don't think
he
anyone
did.
disagree with that. But go ahead. That's you're still going to be pushing on those issues?
Certainly, and just to revisit the environmental issues, yes, there's things that I can do as a state senator. I've driven tens of thousands of dollars to land conservancies, to Winnicke Land Trust, to the Columbia County Land Conservancy, to the Dutchess County Land Conservancy, for the purposes of acquisition, for the purposes of
people can't just go
being able to
walk on those.
deal with these.
In other words, it's still...
Well, again, you have to understand the roles of different governments, and I realize it's easy to get up on a soapbox and...
I love being on a soapbox on that issue.
And create havoc, but the reality is we all benefit from some orderly processes in government. Look, when my opponent announced back in May, she said that she was a candidate of change, and she talked about things that were important, being the economy and support for children. You know, and those are the very issues I think that have certainly highlighted my legislative career, particularly the last several years in the state Senate. I've more than, at the expense of being modest, I think I probably brought more economic development dollars into the 41st Senate District than any legislator, regardless of what level, in terms of child protection, in terms of domestic violence, in terms of daycare. There is no legislator who has done more.
Okay. Campaign finance reform, you've said in your literature here that one of the reasons that he's able to win is because he has brought economic development in, and that the problem is that he gets money from those people to run his campaign, and you say that the campaign finance, 10 seconds and we got to go to the rebuttals. Go ahead.
Campaign finance reform is extremely important because when you're accepting money from the same hand that's feeding you, you can't turn around and regulate it. And one of the other primary reasons I'm running in this race is because this has been a one-party county for so long.
Okay, I want you to speak into the camera. Tell people why you're running. If you want to address the campaign finance, you can when you speak to the audience. Go right ahead.
Okay. I've been an attorney and an advocate for 20 years. I believe I will be promoting positive change in the Hudson Valley, and I think that our government needs to be responsible and goal-oriented instead of reactive. If I am elected, I will bring my experience as an attorney, as an advocate for people, and as a mother to the New York State Senate.
Senator Saland?
For 20 years, I've had the good fortune of representing the people of Mid-Hudson in one district or another in both the Assembly and the Senate. I hope to have the opportunity and would hope that the people of the 41st Senate District would give me that opportunity to do that yet for another 2 years. The issues which I've certainly prided myself on, improving the quality of life of the people in my district, whether it be in terms of education, whether it be in terms of health care, whether it be in terms of child care, whether it be in terms of making homes safer, streets safer, and whether it be in terms of economic development. In each and every one of those areas, I have a record. It's a record with which I'm comfortable and in which I'm proud, and I would hope that as the people of the 41st Senate District look at that record, they will realize that it has been a record of accomplishment and a record which has directly dealt with the quality of life that they have experienced, and favorably so.
Okay, so you both cut yourself short. You both could have talked a little longer. I'm impressed with that. Are you going to debate any more on any other forums?
I believe we have others.
Yes, we do.
Well, we want to thank you for being here. People get to see you face to face, and of course, you got to look at the issues. We're just touching on the issues. You need to investigate, find out what they're saying, find out who's the best candidate. Till next time, I'm Terrence Mikas. For everyone here at Direct Line, good night.
Ed and I have lived in the Hudson Valley 41 years. We've built our lives here, raised our family here. I've been a volunteer, PTA president, a mother, grandmother, teacher, owned and operated a business, met a payroll. The Hudson Valley's the most beautiful place in America. I want to keep it that way for all of us who call it home.
Congresswoman Sue Kelly, friend, neighbor, Congresswoman.
Can you find the largest selection of authentic Amish-built sheds and gazebos? At Bayhorse, of course. Or how about high-quality children's play sets and lawn furniture? At Bayhorse, of course. Bayhorse Gazebos and Barns has been providing quality Amish-built products for over 10 years. So with the largest selection in the Hudson Valley and unbeatable prices, where are you going to shop? At Bayhorse, of course. Bayhorse Gazebos and Barns, Route 199 Red Hook, only a mile and a half west of the Titanic State Parkway.
This is Channel 6, a service of Media One.
Next on News Center 6.
Al Gore and George W. Bush set to face off in their first debate. Pollsters say tonight will be a critical night. Two men running for an assembly seat in New York face off over their education plans. And two Senate candidates go head-to-head.
The case against two town of Poughkeepsie officials accused of harassing each other moves forward. Abortion opponents protest the government's decision to make the abortion pill available in America. And the push is on in Orange County to stop violence in the schools.
Kyle has sports, including highlights of a nip-and-tuck soccer match between Washingtonville and Pine Bush. I'm Roger Clark.
I'm Marianne Ondish. We'll have those stories in Bob's forecast in just 60 seconds, right here on News Center 6.
Comes to the absolute best.
As America's 40th Vice President, Gerald Ford assumed an office that has changed significantly in the years since the Constitutional Convention of 1787. The duties and the prestige of the Vice Presidency are on the rise. Office and occupant have become closely involved with the innermost workings of the executive branch of our government. And in the future, Vice presidents probably will be given even more important responsibilities than those of today. For Americans have come to ask for and to expect more than token service from the man who stands but a heartbeat away from the presidency.
This concludes today's presentation of A&E Classroom. Thank you for watching. Please join us again on the next